Hi, I'm Natalie McNeil, and you are watching She Takes on the World TV, your weekly dose of soaring inspiration and practical advice to turn your small business into something big. By 2019, Cisco has predicted that 80% of all content consumed on the internet will be video. For that reason, I really want to encourage you to start creating videos as one part of your business's overall content strategy. When I was in Cannes, France for a television conference, I met with YouTube star Natalie Tran and interviewed her about building an audience and growing your business through YouTube. Ironically, it's an audio interview because neither of us were prepared to do a video interview when we met up, and I really wanted to get an interview in with Natalie. So there are some great nuggets from her in this audio. Check it out. So Natalie, thanks so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you here and to see that you're totally rocking it. So how did you get started? I know you've been doing this for quite a while now.
Yeah, I mean, I started in 2006, and to be honest, it's been a very long and organic growth for me, but I guess we can talk about that later, but it's not been like a hit viral kind of thing. It's been, for me, a very slow and long process of building, I think, a very loyal online community. So I started in 2006, and yeah, I've been doing it for about 9 years now, so... Yeah.
And do you feel like because you've been doing it for so long, there's this pressure to continue to get better or to reinvent the wheel? Or is it a matter of sticking with what you did originally and just kind of making those little improvements? Or how do you feel about where you're at right now and where you need to go next?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is definitely pressure, but I think a lot of that is yourself, and I think that's just a healthy thing to have in yourself, to always want to progress and to get better, and I know I struggle with that a lot, so a lot of pressure is probably just myself. In terms of the audience, there might be a slight pressure of they expect a certain level of quality, but I think that's a given, and I think that you should provide that as a responsible content creator, and I think perhaps they like consistency. They're probably the pressures I feel that are most real from an audience. And then in terms of expectations, I think that's on yourself, but I think it's healthy, and I think it's important to always want to continually progress. So I'm in a bit of a transition stage at the moment where I'm trying to figure out what I can do next that's challenging for me, but again, I think that's part of just being a person.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you think set you apart? What made you succeed when other people just haven't got as far as you?
Look, to be honest, with online, I would never ever presume that something I did was better than anyone else. I think a lot of it is luck and timing and the moment that I uploaded, which is very different to if you uploaded now. I think there are a few elements that you can definitely focus on though, and they include establishing a sense of trust between you and your audience and having some type of collaborative relationship, and that means if you ask for comments or feedback under an article or under a video, then you acknowledge it and you take it and you absorb it. You know, it's not always right, but it's weird to kind of put content out there, I think, and not expect a dialogue to open up or not even acknowledge it.
Well, speaking of that dialogue, though, of course, on YouTube, you also get a lot of haters. There's a lot of trolls. There's probably a lot of criticism. I know I experience that sometimes as a woman, especially.
Yeah, for sure.
I think so. How have you dealt with that? I'm sure it happens to you.
Yeah.
And how do you take all of that in and process it and sort of separate, I guess, the constructive criticism from the garbage that can kind of bring your energy level down?
Absolutely. My first rule, and I always say this to other people, is it's not personal most of the time. Pretty much, I just general, it's not personal, which means that you could be replaced by someone else and they would be writing the same stuff under their video. You could be, they could be on another video and they'd be writing the same stuff. So it's not personal. I also think as much as you can, take it much more lightly. I always pay much more attention to my positive comments than my negative. And I think that if you've got your head on straight, you should just be able to say what is constructive feedback. I think that's something we learn through life. I don't think that's something that you just learn with comments. So if you read it and it rings true to you and you go, yes, that's something that I see as a problem in my content, then, react to that. But if you're going, no, yes, that hurts my feelings, then I'd probably disregard that.
Okay, yeah, I think that's really good advice. Now, at She Takes on the World, we're all about building businesses, and most of our audience are entrepreneurs. So in terms of the business side of Natalie Tran, can you give us an overview of your business model and how you're using your videos to drive revenue? How have you turned this into a thriving career for yourself?
Sure. For a long time now, it's because I'm very precious, but for a long time now, I kind of didn't do much sponsorship and I just relied on the ad revenue from the videos, which is a percentage of what AdSense makes. So you kind of have to be making in the millions of views a month to kind of get a salary thing kind of happening. But recently I launched an online store, which surprisingly has quite quickly grown into an important part of my business, and I use my content to drive people to the store. But again, I've always been very conscious if I'm going to start selling people things, then I need to make sure my content is incredibly good before I do a plug, or I need to make sure that they're not, just not to make them feel like I'm just making content to sell things to them, because there's so much content out there that's sponsored or that's there for an agenda. And if I'm going to have an agenda, it's got to be, please support me because you enjoy what I do.
Yeah. Now, by 2018, it's something like 80% or 85% of all content that people are going to be engaging with online is going to be video. So for those business owners listening who maybe don't have that presence yet, or maybe they have a YouTube channel that they're working on growing, or they're incorporating video into their brand somehow, what would be your number one piece of advice when it comes to video content and building a brand through video?
Yeah, the first one's very cliche, but I can give you some others afterwards. But the first one is just make content that you enjoy and that's quality to you, that you would watch. Because I always tell people, it took a lot of years before anyone watched my videos. I've been doing it for 9 years. You get sick of it. And if you're making something just because you want views short term, that's going to burn very fast. That energy is going to burn. Your audience is going to feel that. It will drop. There's a big difference between a viral hit like Charlie Bit My Finger and then a web series that runs for many seasons. And you want to be that web series. Think about how many websites you visit now that you visited 9 years ago. Not many. So you really want to stand out from the crowd. So make quality content, even if that means you don't make it as often. That said, consider scheduling. There is a lot of content out there. It's hard for an audience to sift through, so let them know when they can expect to see your content and where. So a lot of YouTubers, successful ones, schedule, and they say, I will be uploading it this time here, so you can check it out. It doesn't mean your audience will watch it straight away. Younger people no longer schedule around content, but it's so they know it's there. And also focus on, it sounds silly, but focus on things like sound. For me, sound is probably the most important thing you can have in video, because if you can't see someone clearly, that's fine. We do this in nightclubs, but if you can't hear them, that's a problem.
Great advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
I
much
wish you
for
all the
having me.
best
Thank you.
in your career as you continue, and we really appreciate that you took time to share with us today on SheTakesOnTheWorld.com.
No, thank you so much for
Thanks,
having me.
Natalie.
My actionable for you this week is to visit your content calendar and see where you might be able to add some video content. One of my favorite ways to get people started with video is by answering some questions from their clients or their audience on the webcam. I find it's a huge help when you're answering a specific question on a topic within your wheelhouse. That way you're not sitting in front of the camera thinking about what you should say. Now, if you're still caught up on the first part of this actionable, visiting your content calendar and thinking, gee, Natalie, I don't even have one of those, that is your actionable for this week. You should not ever find yourself sitting in front of the computer thinking, I need to mail something to my audience today to keep in touch with them. Create a content calendar for the next 4 weeks, outlining a piece of content you can create each week. Sit down with your notebook and do a brain dump of all the stuff you could talk about, and then pull what stands out to you the most. And don't forget to try video for one of those pieces of content too. Thank you so much for watching this episode of She Takes on the World TV, and I'll see you next time. I hope you liked the episode of She Takes on the World TV you just watched. And if you did, I would love to invite you to take my free 14-day Conquer course to turn your small business into something big. Come on over to shetakesontheworld.com/conquer course to sign up.